So, welcome back to Navajo Tea Time. I'm Kelsey.
And I'm Adrian.
And for this episode,
last month we did 23&Me ancestry tests and we got our results back.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about that. And then we have three other subtopics that we're going to delve into. So, but I think the most interesting, exciting thing are the 23&Me results, because that was something that a conversation we wanted to have after Native American Heritage Month. And we both have, I think, interesting family histories.
I know I love my heritage. I love finding new and interesting things about it, and I think Ancestry is really interesting and awesome and unique, and you find stuff about yourself and other people, and it's really cool to connect it to history and historical events going on around the world. Oh, is that how they're supposed to go? Yeah. So, Adrian, since you did the test first, why don't you do your 23&Me results?
Okay. I did the test. I got my results back. A few things I had been suspecting were confirmed. So I did share in past episodes that there is a story about my family related to our clan, Ancestry Breakdown, that links us directly to Spanish
Conquistadors.
Yeah. So our bloodline is supposedly originated from Spanish. So, I know they always say that you should take the oral history at face value and trust it. But I'm the kind of person who doesn't just trust anything right away. So I was curious.
Not trusting.
I know. And so I was like, well, let's see if this confirms it, right? Just out of curiosity, not to be any way about it. And so my results came back 96.8% Indigenous American and East Asian.
That's one subcategory.
Yeah, so there's different subcategories so this one is 78.5% is Indigenous American Southwest. So this takes into account me being Dna, but also I have two other clans. One is from Zuni, which is Nasht Eja Tabaha. That's from Zuni. And then I was told that Techitni originates from Mescalero Apache. So I think that's interesting. So these are all, Southwest tribes. And then in there is also Northern Asian. It lists Manchurian and Mongolian, and Chinese and South Asian. So the breakdown is 96.8 Indigenous American and East Asian, and then 1.9% Central and South Asian, which lists Northern Indian and Pakistani, and then 0.7% European, and it lists Spanish and Portuguese. So I thought that was really interesting. And then on the map, there's this segment within the website where you can look at your most recent ancestry in the Americas. And mine was in Jalisco, Mexico, and then Peru. So, fascinating. And I thought that was really interesting because I dream about Mexico all the time. And I've always wanted to go to Peru. And one of my friends, she spent her summer out there a couple years ago. And I was looking at all of her pictures and I was just like, man, I want to go there so bad. And I've been wanting to go there for so bad. And I was like, I wonder if that has anything to do with it. If, you know how they talk about genetic memory?
Mm-hmm. There was no surprises in my breakdown. My family's pretty open about our history.
Mm-hmm.
And so my ancestry breakdown is 67.9% East Asian and Indigenous American. And that's still at 55.9% Indigenous American, 5.9% Northern Asian, which is Manchurian and Mongolian, and it says broadly North Asian, and then 0.6% Chinese Southeast Asia, and then another 5.5 broadly East Asian and Indigenous American, and then 30.1% European, and that's 27% Northeastern Europe and 26.5% French German. And then there's some British and Irish, Northwestern Europe, and then Southern European, and it says broadly Southern European, so it's like generally here. Like they can't pinpoint it to one specific culture. And then 1% Central South Asian. And then I have like 0.4% unassigned. It's just random genetics. And I thought something that was really interesting that came up on my profile that said doesn't show up on 98% of their profiles is that I am 2% Neanderthal.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I thought that was interesting.
God. That's cool.
I guess so, yeah.
I think that's cool. Wow.
So, yeah, and that's my breakdown on things. And then the other one was the current ancestors, right?
Yeah.
So, as the thing loads, you'll probably see, like, I definitely know that my grandfather's parents, they immigrated from Germany. So that part's already known. It says 1 to 3 generations ago, my family was moved from Germany. And on here it says 3 to 5 generations ago might be Indigenous American. And I wish there was a way to find a way to correct their assumptions.
Mm-hmm.
And then 5 to 8 generations ago was British or Irish, and then 6 to 8 generations ago was Manchurian or Mongolian. But I think that just kind of adds to like the land bridge theory.
It kind of does,
with the Mongolian traits and the East Asian traits, and why there's so much of that in our DNA is because that's the travel route.
Or I know that a lot of people immigrated into South America also. So it could be people immigrating into South America and then making their way north. That was one thing that I was considering too, just because I've always been resistant to the Bering Strait theory, but that's just me.
Well, I think the way they're explaining it on theirs is the DNA markers and where the DNA mutates at specific parts and points is where they pinpoint it on the map and where it goes.
Yeah.
And sure, I feel like the Bering Strait happens, but like also the South Asian could also be Polynesia, which was also what you would think, so it could be both. And there's genetic and even linguistic evolutions. It can go back and forth whether circle, but it made that circle.
It is interesting though, huh? Seeing this program track your DNA through time.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool.
It's really interesting.
So now people are going to be like, Navajo Tea Time. It's only this % Navajo Tea Time. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Well, it depends on how much you really want to, like, I don't know, die on the hill that people didn't migrate.
Michael said that earlier today. I'm like, who uses that? Then you used it.
It feels like it's an argument that people refuse to let go and move on from.
Yeah.
And there's some things, like when we're talking about the daylight savings time, it gets me really worked up, but like I'm like, it's not an argument or a thing I'm really willing to die on a hill for. It's like, it's annoying. If you want to bring it up, I'll argue about it, but it's not.
Oh, you want to argue? We'll argue. Just kidding.
But it's not important.
Yeah.
And I feel like sometimes this isn't important unless you're trying to make it political or something. It's interesting facts and tidbits and interesting how the human world works and migration and stuff.
And I don't know, like, So I was talking to my husband about this yesterday about what it. So we're talking about. I was telling him I wanted to learn Spanish, like really get become fluent because I want to travel more down south. I want to go to Central America. I want to go to South America, and I was telling him that I don't have any problem learning another colonizer's language. You know what I mean? I'm like, you know what? I don't mind. I'm cool with that because he's really resistant to it. He always has been. But like when we went to Colombia, we were just stumbling our way through Spanish just to kind of order our food and get around town and make purchases. So it was really interesting, and we did it. But I want to be able to go to another country and just feel comfortable, being able to navigate my way through socially, not just geographically. So when we were talking about that, I started thinking about our test results, and I was thinking that, what is it, for once I was starting to feel okay, so two things. We're listening to this podcast called All My Relations, and Adrian Keene was talking about reconnecting with her Cherokee ancestry. And when it comes to other Native Americans, I feel like there's this kind of mean joke about Cherokee because a lot of people claim to be Cherokee, and oftentimes they can pass for white, and they grew up off the reservation. There's really no connection to their family until they seek it out. And so for that reason, I was saying I kind of felt like I could kind of identify with how she was feeling, but in an opposite way where, I have this test that tells me that you're from these different, bloodlines, or you're from these different parts of the world. And those are parts of the world that I want to go to and I want to visit and I want to learn more about those cultures and communities, right? Mm-hmm. But it's also kind of like you kind of feel like an imposter too. You know what I mean? Because straight up, some people would just be like, oh no, you're just a Navajo from the rest. You know what I mean? You're not, you're not Mongolian, you're not Chinese, you're not from Peru. You're not from Spain, you know what I mean? You don't know anything about that culture. You can't claim it, So we're having that conversation, but I was like, I could kind of get how some people feel, trying to reconnect to their Native American culture and reconnect to their tribes. Because that's what the conversation was in the podcast this month. And it was really good. It was a really, really good episode. So if you guys haven't listened or listened to that podcast, yeah, I highly recommend it. It's super good. It's Adrian Keene and Matika Wilbur and Dr. Desi. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll have the link down below.
Yeah.
Like everything else we mentioned.
Yeah.
In passing.
Mm-hmm. There's
That's
my
cool.
deviation of the day.
Oh, okay. So we'll go into interesting info that we found. Like I mentioned, the Neanderthal Bloodline DNA. So I'm 2% Neanderthal. And when I looked into that, it said, oh, you're probably more likely to be eaten by mosquitoes. And I find that really true. I get devoured by mosquitoes.
Oh my God.
That's why I don't like going camping. I don't like being outside. Whoa. That's why I love winter. I don't get eaten by mosquitoes when I go outside. And it feels like I'm always the one being attacked.
Dang.
So, thanks, Neanderthal ancestors. And then, when I check, so they have a maternal haplogroup, which is some little structure in your cells that only gets passed down through women. So if you're going through a matriarchal bloodline, this is my mother's 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 mother.
Wow.
And so it's part C, and it's basically saying that they left from Africa around 24,000 years ago.
Wow.
And there's wiggle room between the migration. So that just makes me wonder when people say, oh, this one came back up through South America. I don't know. There's weird historical inaccuracies, but there's also new discoveries. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just the way people interpret information.
Yeah.
Sometimes I heard the argument that, oh, there's arrowheads here, but there's also arrowheads in Europe. So obviously Europe's brought arrowheads to America. It was like, or they could just have autonomously made arrowheads because it was the most effective thing. It depends on how you interpret the fractions of information that we get from history.
Yeah.
And one thing I found interesting, also, there's a couple of things I found interesting while reading through it, was eye color. So it said I have a 75% chance of having dark brown eyes, which I do have. Sometimes they look almost black. And then my mom has kind of like a green hazel eye, and it said I had 4% chance of getting that. And then hers kind of changed from like a dark brown to a green, but I've only ever seen it go to a dark brown once or twice in my lifetime. Yeah, so she has more like green hazel eyes. And yeah, hers just kind of changed. Like if she's super stressed or tired, it'll change her eye color. Which is interesting.
That's interesting because isn't your your European blood from your dad's side?
No, my mom's side.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
My mom's half German, half Anglo.
Oh.
Her grandfather's parents immigrated.
Oh.
And yeah, so hair texture. As you can see, mine is wavy, and there's like a 26% chance of being wavy. My sister's is just a straight, but looks just like mine, but straight. My cousin has the tight curls, like the really tight curls. And then my mom has like big curls. And then 14% straight, which is what my little one has. I tried curling her hair for our Christmas photos, and it just went, nope.
Really?
Yeah. And another thing I found super interesting was talking about the hair color. 67% dark brown, 16% black, 15% light brown, 2% dark blonde, and a less than 1% chance of having light blonde hair, and a 5% chance of having red hair. And to all those percentages, I say yes. That is my hair color in percentage.
It is. Oh my god,
if you lift up right here, you can see there's this big red streak on both sides.
Yes.
And peppered throughout my hair is blonde and light blonde and
there's
red.
There's even black parts too.
Yeah. So yes, that is my hair color.
Oh my god. Dang. I'm like, oh my god.
like she hasn't been sitting next to me for the past year.
I know. I'm like, your mom is half European? What? It's like I don't even listen during our conversation.
Thanks, Adrian, thanks. Okay, what interesting facts did you find?
Okay, so interesting facts according to 23&Me. Alright, so here we go. It says, so this is for physical features, 59% chance that I do not have dimples. True. 95% chance I do not have a cleft chin. True. 88% chance I have detached earlobes. True. 75% chance of dark brown eyes. True. 75% chance I have few, if any, freckles. True. But I put, do sunspots count?
No.
I think that's sun damage. That's working outside in the field, eh? I did it like one summer. I do, yeah.
I have freckles too.
I got them after I had my son though.
Oh, it was like freckles.
Really? Yeah, my skin used to be pretty clear, but then like after I had my son, I got some.
Oh.
Yeah, it's weird. What else? 67% chance I have dark brown hair. True. 55% chance I had lots of hair at birth. That's true. I had a full head of black hair when I was born.
Oh, your poor mom. She had heartburn.
Oh no! Is that what they say?
Yes. Like my mom, when she was pregnant with my youngest brother, he had like an inch of hair on his head, you know? Or he like, my mom says when he was born, he looked like the Phoenix Sun's monkey.
Oh no.
He was just black hair. And she had the worst heartburn, and then she also became allergic to shrimp after she gave birth to him.
Really?
Yeah.
Whoa.
So be careful. Pregnancy can mess you up.
Mm-hmm. It'll definitely change you. 36% chance of having light brown skin. Yeah, 27% of light beige skin, and a 15% chance of dark brown skin. I say true. 81% chance I have stretch marks. That's true. 55% chance I have a little bit of a unibrow.
Makes you so self-conscious, right?
I know, like... And a 78% chance I do not have a widow's peak, which is true, so...
She manufactures one with bangs.
I know. Well, cutting it. Yeah, so pretty accurate. Yeah, pretty accurate. It did. So one thing I thought was interesting was I was looking at the wellness section, and under physical features, it says that I have a natural athletic body. So like if I were to work out ever, I could probably blow some people out of the water. But I don't really. I'm not really athletic. I don't have the motivation to do that. So. But I have noticed that when I do put my mind to something, I can excel pretty quickly. Whereas people with different body types, they can chip away at it every single day, and it's really hard for them to get to where they want to be. Whereas for me, it's a little easier, and I think that's true. It's just I don't have the motivation to do it.
If you'd only try. Just kidding. I'm the same way. I always said if I was being chased by a serial killer, I'm fighting. I'm not running. He ain't gonna chase me down. Let's go.
And I mean, so there's two examples that I know. So, like, I'm sure it kind of like backs up this little theory that 23&Me put out there. So when I was in high school, I didn't really go out for sports. I went out for like a season for track, and then I thought about joining cross country, but I didn't want to do it. It was the politics of it all that I wasn't excited about, so I didn't do it. But my senior year, I made a friend with this girl, and she was telling me she wanted to be all-state champion. And she was like, we should try out for track. And I was like, I don't know. I'm not really into team sports. But she was like, no, we should do it. Let's start training like this. Let's start training this fall, and by spring we'll be ready. So I was like, all right. I was bored. I was like, okay. And a lot of my friends graduated high school already too. So by senior year, I was like, there were like 3 of us left in our friend group. So we signed up for a bunch of like advanced courses together. So we were kind of nerding it out. And then we took weight training, and we would train every single day. And I swear to God, by the end of the semester, she was the strongest girl in the school, and I was right behind her. And I mean, I could outlift some of the boys on our basketball team. It was crazy. And then after school, we would do 3 different things. We would go back to her house, and we would put weights on our wrists and on our ankles, and we would go run toward the reservoir because it's like these sandy hills. We would do that run, and then we would go run to the track, and we would run the bleachers up and down, and then we would go to the pool, and we would swim laps. Every day we did this. So we were like super built, like by spring. I mean, we were strong, we were fit, and she wanted to be all-state champion, and me, I had a bully, and I wanted to fight her. So I was like getting ready for it, because I'm like, if she ever gets in my face again, I'm going to take her out. So that was my motivation. That's what got me up and running and doing all this crazy stuff. So by spring, we were ready, and that was it. It was just a few months. You know what I mean? And when we joined the team, we won medals our first race. I was already able to run with the girls on the team who'd been running all through high school, and I felt like I found my place. But the coach is the person that like kind of pissed me off, so I quit the team just to get him angry, and he didn't give me my medals because he thought I was a jerk. He's still mad at me probably to this day, because when I see him, he doesn't like say hi to me or anything. He won't even acknowledge me. He's like a big baby. But apparently other people think he's a great coach, but I didn't think so. So that's the tea. You know.
I was reading mine too, and it said, you're probably really good at sprinting but can't run long distance. And I'm like, true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And my brothers know this, so when we're in an open field and they pick on me, they run as fast as they can to get away from me, because if I can't get you in the first 5 steps, I'm not chasing you.
You're like, fine, I'm fine.
So, like, they used to do that to me all the time, like, even at the park or something. They'll pick on me, and, like, I try to get up and chase them if I can't get them, and they're gone. And I'm like, I know where you sleep! Like, really loud in, like, a public space, and I have no shame, but...
Oh, no, that's so embarrassing.
Yeah, I embarrassed my siblings, my younger siblings. I used
Good for you.
to yell at Ryan before he'd walk away. I'd be like, make good choices! I'd yell that to Ryan and Taylor and Cassidy every time they're walking away. And I make sure they were a couple feet away, so I had to really yell at them so they could hear me. Whether they appreciated that or not, I don't know. How do they know that I love them if I don't pick on them, you know?
That's how natives show that they love you. They pick on you relentlessly and embarrass you out of love.
It's all out of love.
I know.
Right?
I do that to my siblings too, all the time, and I think they're just like, what's wrong with her?
Like, if I don't like you, I just ignore you.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Like, if I'm not talking to you or acknowledging you, I probably don't like you.
Well, I showed my mom and grandma the results earlier today, and my grandma was really interesting looking at it. She's like, from Africa? I thought everyone says we came from China. And I'm like, well, it's the migration pattern, Grandma. It's from Africa and to China and through. So showing her the map, she's like, oh, that's interesting. Okay, so I'm just going to like make a clarification. When I was showing my grandma the results of everything, and I was talking about, I said it was my grandma's grandpa, but it was actually her dad. And what she said was there was this tribe from like the Oklahoma region area that would go through the Navajo Nation and kidnap people. And, you know, they just go back and forth kidnapping people. I don't know what else they would do. That's all she told me.
I know. I gotta make a clarification too from our last episode. So my cousin.
Wait, I'm not done with mine.
Oh, sorry.
So she was saying a woman was kidnapped and probably had children and produced a daughter with that clan, and so that's where my grandpa's clan comes from. He wasn't a captive, but a descendant of a captive. So
got it.
Yeah. So that's probably where, like, the East Asian kind of, maybe, the different tribal, because I know, like, linguistically, Navajo is part of, like, the Mongolian Athabascan linguistics.
Yeah, I do know that. They are, yeah, it does fall under Athabascan. I took linguistics in college.
Yeah?
It was so fascinating, yeah.
It's really interesting.
It is.
That's your clarification.
So, the clarification I need to make from our last episode in November is regarding the story I was telling about my great-grandma. So, after the episode went live, my cousin got after me.
At least she's watching.
I know. Hey, Tracy. Shout out to Tracy. Tracy. Hey.
Have you seen The Good Place?
Yeah.
Jason is always yelling at me.
So she was like, our grandmother was not a polygamist. She was like, she did have 3 husbands, but they weren't all, she didn't have them all at the same time. She was like, she was married, so the first husband passed away. The second, I think he might have passed away too, but I'm not sure. And the third, so they were like one after another.
Okay.
So as she aged, you know what I mean? She kind of absorbed 3 husbands. So she was like, you need to get it straight. Our grandma was not a polygamist. And I was like, okay. So I wanted to make that clarification.
My great-grandpa was, though. No, I need to clarify that.
I said what I said. So, yeah. All right, what is next?
What is next? Okay, so I was kind of trying to think of, like, what else to talk about, since we're just like, oh, it's just the DNA results. What else can we talk about? And I know around Christmas time, natives get really crafty and start hustling that monies at the bazaars and going to show after show after show. So I was just thinking we could kind of talk about, I guess, hustle culture in mainstream America, and then kind of what we interpret it as.
Okay.
So for me, well, there's a couple of other topics too. There's hustle culture, toxic positivity, and the term-ish girl boss, girl boss, babe thing.
I know what you're talking about.
So for me, hustle culture is just like, the way I've experienced it and seen it in my family is turning any and everything you do into a way to make money. If you're not making money 24/7, you're losing. Wow. And Adrian, what's your definition of hustle culture?
So, my family's not like that. I feel like they're just like, we'll get by one way or another. We'll get by with prayer. Our Lord will provide. It's like totally like that. So for me though, hustle culture really revealed itself to me when I moved to Flagstaff. As everybody knows, probably it's super expensive to live there. And I moved out there to go to school. And then I started working, and, rent was expensive. I was working super hard. I was doing work I loved. I had 2 jobs that I was doing at the same time. One was for a nonprofit called Elephant Energy, and I was running the subsidiary Eagle Energy, which does work on the Navajo Nation. So I was in charge of operations in Arizona, New Mexico, and Utah. And I was working for a conservation organization called the Grand Canyon Trust also. So I'm one of the co-founders of the Native American Business Incubator Network. So it was myself and 2 other individuals who co-founded this program, but we worked with a bunch of other people to make it what it became. So it was a time of just, I was hustling. I was working like nonstop for 2 years straight. No days off, no vacations. I hardly ate. I hardly slept. And, I was taking care of my family too. I had 2 young children at the time. And it was a crazy time. Like, it was like go, 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 because I wanted to see these things thrive. I wanted to see these programs thrive, because what it would result in is our people thriving. So, to me, it was a worthy cause, but it was just, I ran myself into the ground. And that, to me, that's what hustle culture is. You do everything you have to do to make something happen. You're building constantly. You're investing your time and your energy into something else. So you're like, it's not that you just want to make that money. You also want to make something happen, So that's my definition of it, my understanding of it. So
okay, and then I just went to Urban Dictionary, because
why not?
Why not? I don't know if Urban Dictionary is still a thing, but
this is our legitimate source.
It says the glorification of working very long hours in hopes of reaching one's professional goals while having a disregard for their health and relationships with loved ones.
Yeah. So one thing that points out is the glorification of working. Like, I was experiencing that with, I think people who are close to me, they could see that, because I did wear it as a badge of honor. Mm-hmm. Like, I have to admit that I did. I was like, you know what? I was really proud of the fact that I was that committed. I was really proud of my work ethic. Sun up, sun down, get the job done, no BS, make it happen, using limited resources, limited time, you know what I mean? And still seeing it come to fruition. It was a big deal and a big source of pride. Mm-hmm. But like I said, there was a cost to it. Yeah. And I mean, I've said this before, but I did get a divorce. And I think that might have contributed to it slightly too, just because there were other factors naturally that I talked about, but I think those factors combined with the fact that I was very focused on my work and making sure my kids were eating good, healthy food, eating organic. You know what I mean? Like, that's where my main focus was. It wasn't on this other person. And that happens a lot to people. You know what I mean? Like, some people get sick, some people get divorced, some people, other things happen, but there is a price to pay.
Like what you put in the thing is like a work-life balance.
Yeah.
And so, like, growing up with my family, we're sellers of jewelry. It's, I don't know, our family trade, if we were to have one. And that's where my mom, my grandma, my aunts would be sun up to sundown, was at the roadside, the bead stand, constantly talking and selling and doing everything. And I've seen some of my aunts, like, they just completely ignore holidays or birthdays or other things because they had Oak Creek. You know, it's like, oh, I have Oak Creek, I can't do that, I can't do this, I can't take time, I can't go to Thanksgiving, or we can't do an Easter thing, or I can't make it to this birthday party because I have Oak Creek. And for me, that instilled a thing of, like, I need to put a big barrier between my work and wanting to do stuff. I think a lot of birthday parties being ignored in my family was what made me so intense about birthday parties specifically. Specifically for my younger brother, because his is in November, either during Thanksgiving or right after Thanksgiving, so his birthday got kind of ignored. And so I would always hyper focus and try to make sure he had a birthday, or we knew it was his birthday. Which, I don't know, it kind of seems funny, but I get, like, really obsessed about making big birthday parties, and I kind of do that with my little one, because I'm like, hey, this is your birthday party. We're taking time off specifically for you. We're dedicating time and energy to celebrate your birthday, just for a day or whatever, you know. It's never been like, oh, it's my birthday month. It's like, no, well, it's one day, but I get hyper-focused on, like, making sure we stop work to celebrate things.
Yeah, that's important.
Because that's how I grew up with my life. It's like, oh, no, there's always work to be done. There's always work to be done.
Yeah.
So, just enjoy life.
Seriously, my husband and I are like that about anniversaries. Like, we hold them sacred. We make sure that we make arrangements so that we can take off for a week and just either go to an Airbnb or go to a beach or go to a city and just, you know, just us, no children. And so far we've been able to do it every year. Thank God. But we need that time, you know, because we give so much of ourselves to our work. We give so much of ourselves to our children. And my husband says, you know, when you pass away, what's going to happen? Like, your employer is going to put your job up for somebody else. Like, they're not going to fall apart when you're gone. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to
unless you did your job really well.
Even then, like, that's just the way it is.
Yeah, they're going to have to replace you if they want to succeed.
But, yeah, and so unless, like, you're, like, the main, like, unless you own your own business and you're running everything and everything's on your shoulders, then, yeah, things might fall apart without you. But for me, I work for an institution, I know no one's going to miss me when I'm gone. So I'm just like, I know I'm replaceable. So because of that, I hold certain things sacred. When it comes to my weekends, I take my weekends. I spend time with my friends, with my family. I do things I love, like Navajo Tea Time, you know. I do things that I know are going to fulfill me. You know what I mean? As opposed to, like, working all weekend and not getting appreciated, or doing my best and running myself into the ground just to be treated, like, with no gratitude, you know. It's thankless. And so I've learned to, like, move my priorities around and focus on things that really matter to me, because I need that, you know. I need that time to rest. I need that time to feel like myself, and then I can start the monotony again. Monday through Friday.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess, like, it just, I don't want to say, like, it's the native mindset to be entrepreneurial, but it's just, there's a lot of small businesses, but people don't know about it because they're always side hustles, or, like, literally peddling at the roadside.
Yeah,
and you
vendors.
Yeah, and, like, you don't see that as much until it's Christmas, when like you see all the little tiny knits and crafts and things that people make during the bazaars and stuff, and it's.
I mean, some people don't. They just don't know how much work goes into that and how much planning. You know, like to maintain an inventory so that you can be ready for certain times of the year or for certain markets. That takes dedication, you know what I mean? And making sure you have a beautiful presentation, you know the materials you're working with, you know the product, all of that's work, you know? And then also registering for different events, buying tables at different events. That's, you know.
I think sometimes I feel like people need to like take a step back and not turn a holiday into work. At times, and because for me that's all I've ever experienced is like holidays were work days, and we'll go selling the day after Christmas, or you know, the weekend of Thanksgiving was always a big selling weekend and everything. So our lives revolved around holidays because of selling, not because we were enjoying the holidays. And that kind of put me off to like this hustle culture. So every time I tried a new hobby and it was like crafting or creating something, and like my grandma or my mom or someone like, oh, so are you gonna start selling this thing? I'm like, I'm done. Nope, I'm over that hobby now, and it kind of, I don't know, just put that stop in my brain. It's like, I don't want to do hobbies because someone's gonna want me to turn it into something to make money.
Wow. Yeah, I think, like, I mean, I don't want to retract my statement, but let me just clarify that, you know, a 9 to 5 can get monotonous, but I think overall, the big picture of what I'm working toward at the job I work at now, I believe in that. You know, I really do want to see the institution grow, and I want to be a part of that. However, it's it takes a lot out of me, and I think people don't realize that it's draining. It drains my spirit, you know, and so I need to really take time. When it's time to take time off, I know I'm not getting paid to work. Then those are the days I am going to... Oh, that's another thing, too. With hustle culture, that 2 years that I wasn't taking vacations or breaks, guess what? I was getting paid on those days. So I was making more money than I ever had during that time, because the employers I worked with, not only did they support me being a mother and supporting me having my kids come along with me on trips or travel or to do work, but they paid me for my time. And they compensated me well. They would, you know, I was given cars to drive and, you know, motel rooms, like travel was always covered. So I was able to not only take care of myself and my family, but I was very well compensated. You know, I was taken care of. So I was able to do all that extra work. However, where I'm at now, I'm only given like 40 hours a week. That's it. I could work all weekend and that wouldn't be time paid to me. So it's like, so because of that, I'm very strict. Like, I'm not getting paid on the weekend, so I'm not going to work on the weekend. However, I did work yesterday, which... and I actually threw myself in the hole, too, because I bought my whole team lunch. Because I didn't want them to be hungry. So I spent like over $100 just buying everybody lunch, because that's the kind of person I am. I take care of people I work with. I'm not going to ask people to starve, you know what I mean, just so they can be a part of an event I'm throwing. So, I mean, I really do put a lot of myself into my work. I always go above and beyond, but I can't do that all the time, because that's how you end up in debt, and that's how you end up depleted. So hustle culture is not something I recommend.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Sometimes like it gets glorified, but then also it's very draining and taxing, and at the end you're just dying dead and alone.
It's what it feels like. You get to a point where you're just like, what am I doing?
And then you dry your tears with your silk napkins, crying in your, what do they call, like a Bentley or whatever. I don't know, fancy cars. The computer talks back to you. That's your only friend.
Oh, God. This sounds horrible. I hate that.
Anyway, okay. So the next topic is toxic positivity.
Yeah. Oh, read the Urban Dictionary definition first.
Okay, so the Urban Dictionary. I have a lisp. You guys know this. Toxic positivity is the belief that if you just stay positive, you will overcome any obstacle to such a degree that you invalidate natural emotional responses and the person having those feelings.
Yeah.
So for my definition, it was like smile no matter what you're feeling, put on a face that you are happy even if you are not, and being forced to act like you are happy to the world. And like the point is like to look like you're happy. I don't care what you're actually feeling as long as you look like you are happy and having fun.
Yeah, you know, do you remember back in the day they would say, it takes this many muscles to smile and it takes this many muscles to frown. So the more you frown, you're going to give your face wrinkles. Have people ever said that to you?
Yeah, they've said that to me all the time, but I have a resting fish face. So it's natural. This is natural. Like,
Do you see anything wrong?
like, this is my default face. So I'm not trying to frown, but
Like, dang, she looks all mean. Oh my.
I've had people, like, I used to work at Safeway, and I thought I was smiling. I literally thought I was smiling and doing the cash register thing, and the guy was like, you know, you'd be much prettier if you were smiling. And I'm like, I thought I was.
Yeah, I mean.
And then I get that, like, Wednesday Addams smile. It's like, I'm scared.
I know, like, run! Yeah, I think, like I wrote in the notes, I have this feminist urge not to smile when I'm told to. And it's just because it needs to be authentic, you know? I don't want to be told what to do by anybody. I want to be able to react and feel how I'm going to feel. And I think there is this urge, though, when, say, a friend is venting to you and you're just like, no, don't be down or don't be sad about that. It's okay. And you try to, like, show them the silver lining in the situation. And sometimes that can be toxic positivity because what you're doing is you're not listening to them.
Mm-hmm.
You're not giving them the freedom to express how they feel in a space where it should be a trusting environment where they should have that freedom. So I really do try not to put that, like, on my kids. My kids are the ones who are probably the most emotional and authentic with me. And so, like, I think adults don't really do that as much. You know, they're not really, like, raw around their friends. I think they kind of save that for their partners.
They should. I'm just kidding. I'll tell you how to live your life.
I know. Oh my God, the other day, so I was, like, complaining to Mike about how some people are so emotional at work. And I'm like, why can't they just be professional and, like, do the job? That's all that matters. Just get the job done. Do your work. It's not about emotion. It's not about ego. Other people are so abusive to each other and they're so, like, mean to each other. I was like, I saved that for my husband, like a decent human being. And he's like, what the heck? But I'm not mean to him. It was just a joke. But still, it was funny. Like, you know, so I think, like, at least in my household, I always tell everyone, at home, this is a safe environment where you can be as authentic as you need to be happy, right? Mm-hmm. Like, you can be upset. If you're upset, be upset. If you're sad, be sad. Shed those tears, express yourself, vent. It's okay. We'll deal with it as a family, right? But when we go out in public, you better act right. Don't embarrass me. And they're just like, okay. So, you know, every house is run differently, but that's how I run my house. I'm just like, you know, let's deal with this internally. Mm-hmm. When we go out into the world, let's act right. Okay, let's, like, behave ourselves and don't be all crazy. Just, like, be cool.
That's why I'm a hermit. I don't act right.
I know. I'm just like, be cool, everyone. Can we all just be cool? Like, it's not hard, you know? Well, like, so I think it's good, though, because the kids know that they can. I'm never going to tell them, like, you know, when we're with each other, I'm never going to tell them, like, don't feel that, don't, you know.
Just be happy and smile?
Yeah, I don't do that to them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, all right, like, tell me what's wrong, and I listen to them, you know what I mean? So, toxic positivity is really, I mean, this is basically just, like, it's
denying your emotions just to save face. And when I was younger, like, but when we were younger, I remember this one time specifically. We went to Disneyland and we went to SeaWorld. And obviously it's a fun time and everything, but back then I was like 2nd grade, 3rd grade. And so I didn't know what being an introvert was. Mm-hmm. So I was extremely drained by all the people around me. I didn't know how to express that. So I was just like a big mopey moody little kid, and like my mom's like, be happy, we're here, you should just be happy, and blah 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 blah, you know, because obviously it's expensive and everything, but when you're a kid you don't take all that stuff into account. All I know is I was surrounded by a bazillion people that were just draining my energy, and I wasn't happy. Yeah. And just to be told, no, you're in the happiest place in the world, be happy, and now it's like, hey, what's wrong, why are you feeling this way, what's upsetting you? It kind of just
it makes it worse, huh?
Yeah, it makes it so much worse.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I didn't like going anywhere much with the family after that.
And we're never going to Disneyland again.
Well, honestly, we haven't, but we've gone to SeaWorld a couple of times.
Cool.
I'd rather go to SeaWorld than Disneyland because I like
you can
seeing
be an
the fish.
authentic person there.
No,
just kidding.
I love seeing the fish.
I've never been to SeaWorld.
Oh.
I want to go.
I love the fishes. Like, one emotion I feel like that brings me happy is like when I think of just floating in the darkness of the ocean. It helps calm and soothe me. I know some people get like really freaked out about the emptiness, but that just it's soothing to me. And jellyfish, I love jellyfish. The way they just.
I like stingray because it looks like they're flying underwater. It's so cool.
I feel like if I was born, if I could choose to be born as any animal, I would want to be a jellyfish because they just.
They're super beautiful but super deadly, so it matches you.
Thank you. But they just float around the ocean. They don't minimal thinking. They have almost no brain. They just all instinct. You know, it seems relaxing to be a jellyfish.
Maybe in your next life you'll be a jellyfish.
Maybe.
Oh my god, my ex, he got tickets to SeaWorld, and he knew I really wanted to go, and he went without me. And that's why we're not together anymore. Stuff like that.
That's horrible.
Yo, forget about hustle culture. There was so many other things.
Breaking point with SeaWorld.
That was it.
So, this next topic, I kind of saw it in the stickers, you know, the planning stickers, and you see people tagging it and hashtagging it. And I know Ah-Shi Beauty uses it a lot in her promotional stuff. I didn't really understand what it was. So I went to the and then I saw a YouTube video that talked about like the rise and fall of girl boss, the term, the persona, or something like that. So this is what Urban Dictionary says about these different terms. It's girl boss, a boss girl, and a boss babe. Those are the ones I got from Urban Dictionary.
Urban Dictionary says a boss babe is a woman who pretends to be a boss, and she's all about promoting herself and what she does, but she's not actually running a business. She's just a part of like an MLM scheme, which is a multi-level marketing scheme.
Avon calling.
Yeah, and so back in the day it was Avon, it was
Tupperware
Mary
parties,
Kay, Tupperware, home interior parties, things like that. Nowadays it's like teas, diet products, workout products.
Essential oils.
Essential oils.
What do they call it? Poop tea?
Ew.
I don't know if that's what it's called, but it's like basically...
No, but that's what it is.
That's what it is. Like, you drink this tea and it helps you lose weight, and that's just because it
like
makes you...
Yeah. Those cleansing teas?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, there's a lot of women who are part of this stuff, like Herbalife, and it's like, yo, do you know what you're doing? And what they're doing is they're trying to pull people in and get them excited, and... I mean, there's probably other examples of it too, but this is the Urban Dictionary example. And then, like, a boss girl, someone who is just like, I'm not bossy, I'm the boss, you know, and they really take it to that other level. I mean, super respectable to a point, but then I guess in this context, it's kind of like, well, I just will not be told what to do by anybody. I'm going to do what I'm going to do at all times, by any means necessary, kind of. And then, girl boss, someone who appears to be a feminist idol, and I was using Sophia Amoroso as a example because she wrote the book Girl Boss, and I did read that book because it was recommended to me, super good, but, you know, she started this company, it was an online shop that kind of grew into this big thing, but, that company, you know, there's a long story to it, but that company eventually failed. She started other ventures, but it's like this whole thing, there's this culture that was created from it, though, where a lot of women are excited to be a part of it because it's like, it's very branded, huh?
Mm-hmm.
It's like very branded. Like, it's very pastel pink, gold, and black. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a girl boss, I'm in charge, and it's kind of become this like marketing scheme where they're getting you to buy merch. You're buying into this idea.
It's kind of like, what does the Top Dollar say from Crow? The idea has become institutionalized.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean, right? You've seen that movie, The Crow.
Yeah, I have. I love that movie. That was my
Where
favorite
his
movie.
big speech about like Devil's Night, and then now they have greeting cards, and it's it's become institutionalized. So when I first heard the term and started seeing all the marketing and everything, and I was like, so a girl boss, a boss girl, or boss babe is, you're a boss, but you're a girl / female / woman. That's all I took it at. I didn't. I'm like, okay. Can't you just be a boss? Why do you have to be girl boss? That was how I was thinking about it. Because like, I don't know. People say equality, but then they always like put, oh, this is girl boss. I'm like, but then you're not making it equal.
You're like you're like you're choosing to separate yourself. So rather than just saying you're a boss, it's like, well,
I'm a girl boss, so I have to have pretty pink gold foiled rose gold phone keychain thing. It's like, you could just be a boss who happens to be a girl.
Yeah, I mean, I think so at first I thought it was like super cute, like a super cute thing, and then over the years I was just like, it kind of became a joke, I think.
That's when like the institutionalizing of it all.
Yeah, and the thing that kind of the thing is that it kind of became a joke that men were throwing around and laughing at women, and I didn't like that. So I think it's super cool when women take on entrepreneurship, when they start their own businesses. Any woman who's doing that, like, more power to you. I hope all the best for you and your business. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want to see you succeed. For those who are pretending, that's never cool. You know what I mean? Like, just do the work, it's the same with everything. Just do the work. Work hard, put the time in, legitimize your business, do whatever you have to, I mean, it's a very big picture. And I think for me, I'm all about social entrepreneurship. I want to see, it's not about revenue for me, basically. It's like, what community good is going to come from this? Or how is the family going to benefit? You know what I mean? Like, for me, it's all about that. How is the culture going to benefit? How are the people going to benefit? So it's not just about, profit. It's really, people over profit. For me, there's other people that they use this term that like you mentioned, Ah-Shi Beauty. Aseki is amazing.
She is. She really
works
is.
so freaking hard, and she puts in the work. You know what I mean? Like, she's like doing it. I have so much respect and admiration for her because she has a very specific goal, and she puts in work every single day to meet that goal.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that's so dope.
So, like, with her and the term, the way she uses girl boss and everything, like, native boss babe, I think is what she has.
Yeah.
And it's not what these definitions are. And so when I first saw that on all her stuff, I'm like, that's odd. Because she took on the persona as I think it was intended to be. And she, like Adrian said, she does all the work. She has passion and drive and the hope for the future of her community and her people pushing her forward. And so she doesn't do like the fake charity, fake, oh, I just want to do good by my community, but not show it, not donating back, not giving back to other ways.
And she gives back. Like, okay, so just regionally, I've hosted a few fundraisers over the past year and a half, and she has given multiple times. She's donated all kinds of resources to everything because she really does care. You know what I mean? And she doesn't talk about that. She doesn't promote it. She's not like, oh, look, I'm donating today. Look what I gave. No. she's just doing it. Like, she shows up. You know what I mean? She shows up to be there in the community, have the conversations, talk about what the cause is at the time, or when she's given a platform to speak about her work, she does. And she does so well and eloquently. And it's not all about just her. It's about, I'm doing this for our people. I'm doing this for our nation. And I'm just like, hell yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I like the Native Boss Babe hashtag. I think it's really cool. But there is this negative connotation just because Boss Babe, that terminology is also linked to some negative ideas about what that means. And it's other people who ruined it. I blame YouTubers.
What are we?
I know. I blame Instagram models. I blame TikTokers. There's a lot of them, though. They're doing crazy MLM schemes right now. And a few people are getting rich off of it. And there's a lot of other people falling for it. So I think that's what we wanted to talk about. That tea. Like, don't fall for it.
Well, I don't know if that's what I wanted to talk about. I just like...
That's what I wanted to talk about.
She wanted to talk about MLM schemes.
I know. Okay, so how did you want to carry this conversation then?
I don't know. I was just talking about, like, wanting to talk about different hot topics about, like, you know, entrepreneurial, social media... because, you know, hustle culture, toxic positivity, and the term girl boss girl are all linked to social media and just the ways people try to get rich quick or create this image.
And it's so, like, it's not sincere. You
yeah,
know? There's no authenticity tied to it at all. So that's what my issue is with it, I think. And I never want to be that kind of person. Like, yeah, we do Navajo Tea Time, and it started out, you know, just for fun, and I want it to continue to be fun. And we've had conversations too about, like, how do we use this platform for good, or how do we use this platform in a way that's going to benefit others? And like this season, I was talking to Kelsey about doing a crowdfunding campaign to raise money for this orphanage that's based regionally here on the Navajo Nation. Because I've always had a big heart for children that don't have parents. And I was like, what do you think about that, you know? And how can we use our influence in a good way, you know? And it always kind of started like that. When we started the YouTube channel, we're like, how do we have conversations that are meaningful or that have a little bit of depth? Or really give an accurate depiction of what it's like being Native American, a contemporary Native American person, a Navajo person, a woman who has a college education, who is a business owner, who is a mother and a wife. It's something you don't see every day in the media. You know what I mean? It's something you don't, like, it's not out there all the time. People aren't telling our stories. So I figured, you know what, why don't we just take the reins, have these conversations, share some of our points of view, spill a little tea every now and then. And where my mind is always going is like, okay, now how can we do good? You know, how can we use it for good? But there's also things attached to that too, because we don't ever want anyone to think, oh, they're just trying to raise money for themselves, or they're just using this to get famous, or I don't know, whatever dumb thing people are saying.
The thing about famous is, like, okay, so 2 years ago, there was the NWEAZ. We were both there, and Aseki was there. That's when I first met her. And she's like, oh, and I just saw that 2 ladies from Navajo Tea Time were here. And, like, my face, you couldn't see it. My face got red. It got hot. Okay, my face got hot. I don't blush, but my face got hot. I was like, oh no, somebody recognizes me from YouTube. And that was never my goal. And the fact that I realized people could recognize me from this show, it kind of freaks me out. I'm like, no, I don't want that type of celebrity. But I just also wanted to be able to talk about things that I felt like in your family or even in your community, it's kind of difficult to talk about, because I know there's that restriction with, like, Navajos where we don't like talking about negative things, because then it manifests negative things. But then that kind of thinking always circles back to me in, like, we're not gonna go deep into this right now, but like with suicide.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people don't talk about people who pass away or people who commit suicide because there's that deep-seated belief that if you talk about it, you're going to bring it. And then so with the Navajo Nation and Native people, there's a high rate of suicide, and but people don't talk about it. They don't bring it up. They don't discuss it. And I feel like that being one point, and then also all these other things, like, you know, like the difficulties with grazing permits and permit holders and getting land and building stuff and just like these different topics that people kind of hush away from and shy away from because it's negative, and we don't want to talk about negative things because then that brings negativity.
We wanted to put ourselves out there and have conversations that people might not have the opportunity to have with their close family or friends, and we figure we can be your family and friends on YouTube, you know, like we can be your sister, we can be your auntie, and we can talk about these things, because the thing about talking about the tough topics is it eliminates the stigma attached to it. It's like, for example, talking about like sexual abuse. You know, in my studies, I learned that a lot of people will push these topics under the rug. They cover it up, they don't want to talk about it, don't mention it. What happens is nothing gets done, no justice is ever served, and the people who are victimized, they just have to carry it around in silence. They suffer in silence alone. And from where I sit, no one should ever have to do that. I think that's a BS. And so we figure, you know what, we'll have some of these tough conversations, we'll put it out there, and hopefully it'll do some good. You know what I mean? Hopefully it'll provide maybe some answers, or provide a space for people to be like, you know what, I feel like that too, or like Kelsey brings up a great point, you know what I mean, or I'm not the only one that feels this way, you know what I mean? So I think that can be cathartic, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you know, like sometimes maybe you just need a vent, and that's fun too sometimes.
I don't inherit anything from them. I'll probably just get all their bills like when they're gone. Freak. You know what I mean? Like some people, their parents hand them this package that's going to help them get through their life, right? That's not the case for me.
No.
And I think for a lot of people, you know, like some people, they inherit livestock, grazing permits, homes, money, whatever. Not for me. I'll probably get my parents' bills and all their haters. You know what I mean? Like,
you know what? You need a cookie.
Oh, I'm so mad right now.
I'm going to talk about this cookie. This cookie is basically what I inherit from my family. It's a Christmas cookie recipe that my mom has made my entire life. It comes with a special icing that we make just for this cookie, too. And it's so good that even, you know, my mom's ex-in-laws, you know, they love getting it for Christmas. So when I learned how to make it, I would always bring it to my family, my dad's family's Christmas, and they always love them. So it's a really good cookie.
It smells almost savory.
It's not. Take a
It
bite.
smells like sweet and savory.
I know Adrian's trying to be like on a healthy, less sugar thing. There's nothing more sugar filled than this cookie.
These are good.
I know.
Damn. Wow. It's like a sugar cookie and a snickerdoodle.
It's a Christmas cookie.
Dang. I feel better already.
She needed it.
I did. I could have gone on.
You were.
I know.
You said 5 minutes.
I feel like 15 minutes. Oh my god.
I know.
Yeah, you gotta go. I think you've had enough Navajo tea. Join us for our next episode of Navajo Tea Time.
This has been Navajo Tea Time. You guys have a good holiday and a great new year. We'll see you next year in 2022.
Yep. Love you lots.
Bye.
You